Hey guys, welcome to Wyoming Family Adventures. Carl here is going to show us how to mount a full-size tablet.
Yeah, for a GPS mount on the Aprilia Tuareg, we have our GPS mount bar right here. And sorry, Aprilia, but we got to badmouth you here because you kind of screwed us on this one a little bit. So this bar will wiggle with a GPS mount on it because of the way it's designed. We'll show you that, and we're going to show you how to fix it. And then we're going to show you how to mount full-size tablet GPS on here for old guys like me that can't see the little tiny Garmin's. So I use full-size tablet, and Cody's going to go with the same thing because he loves my setup. And it's easy to read, even off-road. That's the big thing I like about it. Vibrating down, trails and stuff, you can still see where you're going. You don't have to sit there and lean forward and squint at your GPS to try and figure it out. It's right in your face. So this is how it looks from the factory, and we'll click over to a quick shot of how it looks on a finished bike. This is Cody's bikes, all stock still. This is going to be the first mod. We'll show you how it looks on my bike after modded, and then we'll show you how it's done.
Go.
So this is what our GPS setup looks like finished. This is on my bike, and you can see this is really easy to read. This is using Avenza maps on this one. You can use whatever map app you like. Avenza is good because it has the National Forest official maps for trails and stuff. So this mount is locking, which is great. When it's unlocked, you can just lift, whole tablet pops right out. Put it in. You can see I've added padding in here because of all the off-roading we did. And then it just locks down. Turn the key. It's locked in. It's mounted to the GPS bar around front here, which you can see, and that's what we're going to get into, is how to do that. It does require a little bit of modification because of just a little bit of an oversight from the engineers or assembly from Aprilia. I'm not sure which it was where the screw up is, but there's a little bit of screw up from Aprilia on this GPS mount bar, and we're going to show you how to fix that pretty easily though.
Go ahead.
So the first thing we're going to do when we go to mount GPS is we're going to pull the windscreen out of the way just to make this a little bit easier. So there's some T-nuts mounted behind back here on the bracket. So you want to stick a finger in there, and this is a 4mm Allen head right here. And those will come right out just like that. And these will probably drop, so we'll probably tape them in place when we go to put it back in, because or I'll make Cody hold them, because they're kind of a pain to when you go to put it back in, because they want to pop out and fall. But that's it. There's 4 of them, so you just pull those out and set them aside for the moment. So after you get all 4 of those screws out, you just pop that off, and don't forget all your T-nuts. Just pull them out, because they're going to fall probably at some point. They may or may not, but it's easier if you just pull them out for now and set them aside. And then we'll come back to these. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the GPS bar. This is a T25 bit. And you're going to find out there's a screw on each end of this. So pull that one out, hold on to it, pull this one out. hold on to that one. And then without the windscreen here, these can flex enough to pull this bar out. And so where the problem comes in, you'll see there's flat edges on the end of this bar. And you'll see there's flat edges here. The problem is you can see there's wiggle on those flat edges. That's where Aprilia screwed up on their tolerances, either on the bar or on this piece. And so that has to be fixed so your GPS isn't jumping around all over the place. So for our fix, we're going to take some aluminum pop can. Just cut a chunk out. I just cut through the whole can all the way around, and then cut this way. And this is about 3 inches here. We're not going to use the whole 3 inches, but it's going to be close to that. And then we're going to cut a strip on this 3-inch length, which we're going to end up cutting down to 2 inches. And that's going to be 5/16 thickness. So about yay. There it goes on the ground. And pick those up. So we got 2 of those strips right at 5/16 thickness. You can trim them a little bit if you need to. We're master aluminum can cutters, so we don't need to trim them on the width, but we are going to trim the length now, because you can see these are 3 inches long. We want them at 2 inches. So we're going to go ahead and mark them at 2. Right, somewhere right in there. Oh yeah, that's perfect, as always. And we're gonna cut both of those length. And the reason you do the 5/16 width is because you want that with the same as this flat area on the bar here. Okay, you're trying to fit it in there. So what you're going to do then is take this piece of aluminum and fold it just shorter than 3/8, a little bit. Right, about a good 1/16 shorter, because it's going to grow a little bit as you fold it. So once you got your first fold in it, you could fold it the other way so the aluminum sticks out. I want some green showing on Cody's bike, so I went that way. Just kidding, this is all going to be hidden. So, and you just keep folding it over. And you can always trim this after it's folded if you don't fold quite square. But you'll fold it over just like that. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side, and there you go. You have a shim. You're going to put one on each side. You could do, maybe do a 1-inch one on each side if you want to get too OCD. I think I'm plenty OCD enough. And we have off-roaded the crap out of my GPS mount with a huge tablet on it. And it's held solid doing it this way. Once you get your shims in place, you'll fold both of them, and then you'll just mount it. I like to do the shim facing forward here just because and you're gonna squeeze that right on in back into place on your bar mount, and then you see your shim disappears here and no more wiggle. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Place our shim on the other side. Oh, you can see that one is tight. right in there. Let's see, nice and tight. Didn't want to go in at first. We actually folded our shim a little. Now it's in there. So now we're going to pop our T25 screws back in. A little bit loose to start until we get them both in. Then torque them. And that ain't going nowhere now. Your GPS will be solid. So when we go to put our GPS clamp on, we are going to put some medium strength blue thread locker on each of the screws, because it's going to be a pain to get back to these later if they need tightened. So you just want to set it and forget it kind of thing. So use whatever brand bar clamp you want, something similar. With this one, we want to make sure that our small holes are horizontal. And our screws go in this way. I guess you could. So I'll just put all 4 of these screws in. This is a 3mm Allen head for these screws on this particular brand. Yeah, they're pretty small. And we're actually going to be just a little bit right of center, because our mount for our tablet sits right of center on the tablet. The reason for that is so the lock on it doesn't hit the buttons. And whatever mount you're using, you can get a similar one. This is an all metal mount that we're using here. It's pretty solid, and it's a locking mount. You know, maybe we'll find a link for you to put in the description. So what you're going to want is to look at this from the side over here, and with the bike upright, you want this to be perpendicular. When you're mounting a big tablet like this, again, we're going to loosen up just a hair and go a little bit more to the right side of the bike. About right there. And you can measure for based on whatever device mount you're using, how far off center you want it, but that's about where we want it for this one. And we want it perpendicular so it fits within the windscreen. And then once you get it perpendicular, you go around it. Tighten up each of those screws. And I'm just going to kind of thumb snug them to start with. Make sure that I'm still perpendicular. I think that's right where we want it, right there. That looks good. And then I'll come back with the Allen head and snug those up. And after you do them 2 or 3 times, they'll probably quit giving. But you know, first couple times you do them, they'll probably tighten up a little more. So that's it for that part. And then we're going to mount the tablet mount to this bar clamp. So we're going to put some medium Loctite or thread locker on the threads on these screws, and these are going to hold our tablet mount to the clamp. These came with the clamp, so these screws are going to go through the tablet mount here first, and you can see there's washers under the heads on each of these. I don't know if the washers are needed, but it's kind of just a little extras, you know, to distribute the load. So, because we do put load on everything. And then these spacers will go on behind. And then these tighten with a 2.5 Allen head. And these are going to go right into the bar clamp. So then if you get your spacers on there, try not to tip it forward and drop them like I did. And then we're going to put them into the holes, and we're going to the center holes on our horizontal rolls. So this could be a little bit of a pain getting them started, but once you get them all started, then it's pretty cake. Again, 2.5 Allen head that we're using on this one. Is that one starting? Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So after you get all these in and get them just kind of snug, and then we'll go around and tighten these. But again, if you follow your German torque specs, you should be fine. Good and tight. And good and tight is always relative to what you're good and tightening.
So cylinder head bolts are going to be different torqued than these bolts.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Or should we say screws?
But they'll still be good and tight. That's the nice thing about the good and tight spec is
it's always right.
Yeah, it's always right. Always. Yeah. So if you over tighten something, it's because you weren't following good and tight spec properly. If you under tighten something, you weren't following good and tight spec properly. I mean, you can probably look up a book for this size. You can measure your screws and find a torque spec for them.
You can spend 5 hours trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or you could just do it.
I mean, I'm a nerd, but
the good method of just cutting tight.
Yeah. So we're gonna, because it's a little hard getting that puppy on there with the short end, so we're going to use the cheater here. Just be careful not to go past good and tight. Much easier to get this in there the long way than the short way. There's just too much stuff in the way with this. So again, don't go past good and tight spec. You see I'm grabbing really close up on, I'm not grabbing out the end of my leverage there, and grabbing close up so I don't pass good and tight spec. Just needed a little bit more than what the short end of this Allen wrench would give me. And that combined with the thread locker, it should be good. And I think we're ready to throw a tablet on there, and could throw your windshield back on at this point. Remember the trick of taping your T-nuts from behind when you go to throw the windshield on. But
Before we do that, we got one more mod to do.
yeah, well, so we'll put the windshield on in the next video, because that video is going to show, we're going to put on a headlight guard.
We're going to show you how to install one of these. This is not going to be too hard.